Shadow football. I don't want this tournament to end. This has been a spectacular month of football. So much drama, blood, sweat, tears, and passion. 25 days, 31 matches, 16 teams, one eventual winner. England have reached the promised land and have only gone and won back-to-back Euros, beating out a Spain side that they fell to 2 years ago in the World Cup final. This was a tense game, heavily influenced by Arsenal, as the duo of Mariona Caldente and Alessia Russo scored the goals as 120 minutes was not enough to separate them. The lottery of penalties decided the winner, and football came home as England won the shootout thanks to some heroic saves by Hannah Hampton and an ice-cool Chloe Kelly, who also plays for Arsenal. Spain had the upper hand in the first half, but England fought back and performed better in the second half due to a small tactical change. Sarina Wiegman also made one small but pretty significant change to England's build-up, which gave them much-needed defensive stability, whilst Montse Tomé's substitutions didn't change the game as much as she would have hoped. All will be discussed in this video. We all know how Spain play, pretty much. Little passing combinations combined with clever movement tearing teams apart. But it goes a little bit further than that. The two areas Spain look to exploit are these two: the space between the opposition midfield and defense, and the space in between the centre-back and full-back. The first thing they tried to do was to use Arsenal's Mariona Caldente to drag Lucy Bronze out of position. Olga Carmona then runs into the space left by Bronze and puts a cross in for an early chance for Esther Gonzalez. Once Bronze figured out how to defend that, which was just to stay put, Spain then tried another method. They would play closer down the middle, looking for players like Bonmatí, Putellas, and Caldente to receive the ball closer to England's midfield line. Caldente receives the ball here, looks to turn, but England shut her down instantly, and forces her to play the ball backwards. Since that didn't really work either, Spain then tried a third method. Their third method is to create a passing triangle out wide, overloading the wide areas and trying to exploit this space. This build-up is like so. Spain have Carmona, Caldente, and Putellas out wide. This ties in Bronze, Hemp, and Walsh to defend this triangle. The idea is to pull the English defense out of position and send a runner into this space, hoping that the central midfielder, Walsh in this case, doesn't track back here, since that is a job of defending as a central midfielder in a low block. But because Walsh spent 2.5 years playing for Barcelona and knows how this team plays inside out, she's alert to this and rushes to close down Caldente. Spain's third method didn't work this time, so their fourth method is switching it to the other side and hoping it works this time. Bonmatí has the ball here and sets up another triangle with Atenea del Castillo, and the player I was begging to come back to Manchester United until Jade Riviere turned into an actual beast, Ona Batlle. Occupied by this delightful trio are James, Greenwood, and Stanway. Bonmatí gets the ball from Atenea and Stanway is right on cue to challenge. She tries to be too cute and kicks the ball onto Bonmatí, hoping it would go out for an English throw, but it's Aitana Bonmatí, so she gets the ball back because that's just how football works. Atenea looks to run into this huge space between Greenwood and Carter and gets the ball. Greenwood fails to fall back into that space since Stanway has got Bonmatí, and Atenea skips around Russo and Spain attack this space again, this time sending Ona Batlle through. Because Stanway plays for Bayern Munich and isn't super familiar with the Spanish/Barcelona system, she doesn't track Batlle as she gets the ball. Meanwhile, Lucy Bronze stood completely ball-watching and unaware of where her former Barcelona teammate Mariona Caldente is. Batlle sends in a wonderful cross for Caldente to open the scoring. It's amazing that Spain have 3 methods of opening up a defense, am I right? However, the issue is that all 3 of the methods I mentioned all require one thing in common, and that delicate little thing is that the defense doesn't press them. So England, in the second half, defended higher up and put pressure on Spain. In the first half, England defended in a 4-4-2 low block, retreating back to their own third and soaked up the pressure, just like how Arsenal defended when they beat Barcelona in the Champions League final. In the second half, England pushed their defensive line higher. What this did was that Spain were no longer able to comfortably play their passing combinations in England's half anymore. They had to play their way out of their own half first or boot the ball long, effectively giving the ball back to England. England have Caldente's options all shut down here, so her only choice was to play the ball long searching for a red jersey, and so she found her Spanish teammate Alex Verde Madera. England have just been given the ball back, and for all the talk around Spain's attack, their defense is incredibly urgent, tenacious, and they often try to win the ball back high as soon as they lose it. But for some reason, during this particular phase, they didn't do that. England passed the ball to Keira Walsh, and hold on for a second. Let's talk about England's build-up, but I will come back to this very, very soon. In all of the previous games in this tournament, England built up like so. Greenwood tucks in to create a back three, freeing Lucy Bronze to go forward down the right-hand side. Stanway and Toon then freely roamed about, as they're good at finding dangerous attacking positions, and they can link up with Russo, who will often drop back to help out. This left Keira Walsh as a very easy player to target for defenses since she didn't have much help around her. So for this game, instead of having Bronze push out wide, she was used as an inverted fullback and slotted in next to Walsh, creating a back five. This meant Stanway, who I thought had a great game, was free to roam around looking for pockets of space, knowing that Bronze has essentially filled in her spot as the other holding midfielder. The width would then be provided by the wingers solely. This brings back the WM formation that was pioneered by Herbert Chapman in the 1920s, who was the manager of, you guessed it, Arsenal. So with this piece of information in mind, and the fact that Spain did not press England for this phase of attack, let's get back to Keira Walsh on the ball. She moves it onto Stanway, and she has acres of space because Spain switched off for this phase. Kelly cuts back in, and Batia doesn't get tight enough to her, allowing space for the cross. During this whole sequence, Irene Paredes never looked back once to see what was happening behind her, so she has no idea that
"Oh, here we go, Tuni and Leslie Russo"
were behind her. Alexandre only sees Russo up until this point, where she spots Toon as well. Paredes also looks back, as she finally sees Tuni and Leslie Russo behind her, and coming to the realization that she's not in a very good position. Alexandre now has two customers at her doorstep, and fails to attend to either one of them. Arsenal's Chloe Kelly sends a lovely cross in, and Arsenal's Alessia Russo gets on the end of it and heads England level. England seemed to fluster Spain by pressing high, to the point where Spain just kept rushing everything and forced errors whenever they were on the attack. Perhaps this is the way to counter Spain's dominance, to make them play on the counter-attack, because England looked in control defensively in the second half. The addition of Bronze as the fifth player meant that Spain didn't find it any easier to break England down on the counter. Toon loses the ball and Pina drives forward. England's back five still intact, albeit with players in the wrong position. If this was any other game in the tournament, Lucy Bronze would be here, and this is most likely a goal for Spain. But the only English woman made out of adamantium is positioned here, filling in at centre half. Mariona then gets the ball on the left-hand side, and look who's there to make the block. Here's an even better one. Kelly slips and Putellas drives off the pitch. Bionic Bronze is here, where she would normally be here. But her new position meant that Keira Walsh can go press Caldente, and Bronze herself can mark Bonmati. Her positioning as a holding midfielder is perfect, as the passing lane to Bonmati was always cut off. Atenea gets the ball out wide, and Williamson, who, also plays for Arsenal, heads away. England's high press stopped a lot of Spanish attacking momentum, but Spain also didn't help themselves with a lot of, quite frankly, low level of execution and poor decision making in the final third. Batia here plays a ball straight to Stanway instead of holding onto it and waiting for teammates to arrive. Patry wins the ball in midfield and gallops forward, but the supporting runs from her teammates weren't threatening at all. No one was trying to run in behind. If Esther Gonzalez runs across and drags Carter out wide, and Patry plays a ball to Putellas arriving in this space, then this is a goal. Atenea tries to dribble past the entire England team, instead of turning around and passing it to Patry, who is off screen. She loses the ball and commits the foul on Stanway, allowing England an easy exit. Vicky Lopez tries to curl it in with her left foot multiple times from this position, fluffing it over the bar every time. Extra time came around and Spain really pushed for a winner, hoping to end the contest before it got to penalties. They sent in roughly 658 crosses into the box during the extra 30 minutes, with this one by Vicky Lopez, and this heart-stopper if you're an England fan from Batia that went through Parajuelo's legs. So, my question is, if you're Spain and you're going to send in this many crosses, why wasn't Cristina Martín Prieto on the pitch? Just putting it out there, not expecting any responses to my question. I'm convinced she would have scored either one of these two chances, along with the myriad of crosses they whipped in. I know I keep talking about England's defense, but they also threatened the Spain backline a few times. It was surprising to see Lauren Hemp on the right-hand side, I thought she would go back to the left when Chloe Kelly came on, but the only reason I could come up with as to why Sarina Wiegman decided to play with inverted wingers for this game is because Lauren Hemp is very left-footed. And putting her on the left means that there is a 95% chance she'll dribble down the line in a 1v1, making her very predictable. Having her on the right-hand side means that she has the option to cut in onto her left, which she did about 95% of the time, but her pace dribbling down the line cannot be ignored, which makes it slightly harder to defend. Both Lauren James and Chloe Kelly are able to operate on the left as they're good with both feet. Penalties rolled around as Hampton and Coy both saved, and Chloe Kelly scores the winning penalty for England, whacking the ball past Kata Coy and reducing myself to tears as I hid behind my sofa during the entire penalty shootout. I know I questioned a lot of Spain's decision making on the pitch, but this day ultimately belonged to England. England were magnificent. Their defense was so solid, so organized, and so hardworking. This was a battle between Spanish flair and English grit, and English grit and determination came through. England fought hard and fought really well. Alex Greenwood had an incredible game, shutting Atenea del Castillo down superbly. Georgia Stanway was everywhere, her work rate was insane. Ella Toone had some really nice touches, but it's her defensive work that stood out to me. She never stopped running and emptied the tank for her country. And Leah Williamson sharing the trophy lifting duties for the second time will forever be iconic. Some of their personal stories were incredible to follow as well. Ella Toone playing in her first tournament since the passing of her father, Beth Mead playing in her first tournament since the passing of her mother, Michelle Adjeman going from ball girl to European champion in the space of 4 years, Chloe Kelly was an outcast at Manchester City, losing her place in the England team before a loan move to Arsenal reignited her love for football, and look at what she achieved throughout this tournament. Sarina Wiegman winning the Euros for a third straight time, Lucy Bronze proving she is made out of adamantium by playing the entire tournament with a fractured tibia. Who does that? But one player deserves a special mention. This was the best game I've ever seen Jess Carter play. She was incredibly solid at the back, clearing away crosses, stepping out of line to intercept a pass. She did not make a single defensive mistake this game. For someone who was so heavily abused after England played Sweden, she has bounced back and proved everyone wrong about her ability to perform at the highest level. If a player ever has a poor game, the last thing anyone should ever do is to hurl insults and abuse at them. Times like this are when players need your support. So if you're one of those people that directed racial abuse at Carter, please ask yourself, are you a real supporter? Because this isn't what a fan should be doing. Carter was brilliant this game, and even though Hannah Hampton was named the official player of the match, Jess Carter is my player of the match. This is an achievement of the ages. Back-to-back Euros and the first trophy England have ever won on foreign soil, men's or women's. When people talk about the golden generation of England, sooner or later they won't be referring to the men's team in the 2000s. They'll be referring to the England women's national team of now. We are currently living in the golden generation of English football, and it's scary to think that most of the core of this team have yet to hit their prime. This is an exciting time for English women's football, and I can't wait to see what else they'll achieve. But for now, let's enjoy this Euros win. Congratulations, England. Football has well and truly come home.